So today we're going to talk about a Nissan 280Z. This car has been in Texas stored for about 12 years. It hasn't been on the road for about the same length of time. So the first step was to tow the vehicle from Texas to Massachusetts. And then our goal here at Mechanics Direct was to not only get the car running for the customer, but to evaluate overall condition and what it will need to restore the vehicle to get it back on the road. So one of the first steps is the gas tank was removed from the vehicle when we got it here. So we went through, put a new fuel pump in, new fuel pump relays. We cleaned up all the fuel injectors in the vehicle, put new fluids in, reinstalled the gas tank, as well as cleaned out the sending unit for the tank, and then put it together with some new ignition components as well. So the first goal was to start up the vehicle, listen to how the engine runs, see if the transmission will shift, and then go. The second step of the process was for us to evaluate the underside, the floorboards, the frame, overall integrity of the body. So we looked it over thoroughly. We determined that the car was structurally actually in very good condition. At that point we drove it around just locally in the parking lot, testing everything out, making sure everything functioned properly. And now we're in the process of disassembling. So we know the car needs to be refurbished. It doesn't necessarily need a full, full complete restoration, but it needs bushings, it needs links, it needs suspension components to be safe on the road and pass state inspection. So now we're in the process of disassembling. So if you come over here to the front, in the front we've completely removed the front suspension, the struts, the brakes, the control arms, the radius rods. So we take everything out and we actually evaluate each component. You can see in the front we've completely removed all the suspension components. Like I mentioned, struts, shocks, control arms, radius rods, bushings. So now that we're disassembling, we can look over every bushing, every component. And the goal, again, isn't to completely refurbish the car. The goal for stage one for the customers to get the car safe on the road. So we're going through all the different suspension, brake components, and doing a combination of replacing what's worn out. And then we're also upgrading a few things. We're upgrading the brakes, putting new calipers on, cross-drilled rotors. We're going to go and put performance struts and springs in. And then if we go over to the back we haven't started to disassemble yet. I think we started to basically unbolt a few things. But the back we're going to do, right now it's a drum brake, and we're going to remove that and we're going to put a disc conversion kit on it. So it's going to have new disc brakes in the back, potentially adjustable control arms so we can get more adjustment for the alignment. And get it so mechanically it stops properly, it handles properly, it's safe on the road, the engine runs nice. And then at that point, stage 2 or stage 3 down the road will be to start fixing up the body and making it look a little bit better. Some of the things that you want to pay attention to, typical areas where these cars rot out would be in the cowl area. So one of the first steps we did is we removed the wipers in the cowl, and you want to look inside to make sure there's no corrosion in here. Other areas would be by the battery tray on the frame rail, as well as the frame rail on this side, and then also in the front radiator support area, lower radiator support. So if you're doing a project on one of these cars, you want to make sure structurally those areas are good before you kind of jump in and start taking things apart. For this particular project, to make it safe, besides the brake upgrade, we're going to put a new brake master cylinder in, new brake lines, as well as a new clutch master cylinder and a clutch slave cylinder, as well as the clutch rubber line as well. So again, our goal is to make it safe on the road and make it perform just like it did when the car was new. So once we finish mechanically with the car, some of the body enhancements we're going to do If you look at the bumpers in 1977, basically for the vehicles to be used in the United States, they were very large, oversized bumpers. So there are new bumpers that you can buy for these vehicles that make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit more vintage. We're also going to be putting on the fenders, we're going to be putting the fender mounted side view mirrors, which are from Japan, so those are going to be mounted on here. And then in the back, when we finish, we're going to be putting a small spoiler on the back, which is going to be, again, something that you can see in the Japanese version. So overall, you don't have to spend a ton of money to get one of these cars up and going on the road and have it perform and look real nice. And our recommendation is always to do it in steps and keep within your budget. Okay, well, thank you very much.